Hare Krishna and welcome to our weekly Nectar of Instruction discussion. And we are in the last section of this particular book. We will be able to conclude this book tomorrow or also on the next Sunday. But we'll just be discussing last three verses of Nectar of Instruction, and in which the Rupa Goswami glorify the entire process of devotion and the devotees. So we'll take a look at that. The two verses we'll try and take a look today, 9th and 10th verse. And 10th will cover partly, and the balance 10th verse will cover in the on the next Sunday, and we'll conclude it by discussing the 11th verse. That's the last section. That will be the last text on the Nectar of Instruction that we will discuss on the next Sunday. Given the title evolution, because both these verses, we also talk about the hierarchy, right from the bottom most to the topmost. And we'll take a look at both those hierarchies and the relationship between the two as we progress further. So before we jump into the discussion of today's verse, so let's pray obeisances to Srila Rupa Goswami, who's the author of this book. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet by chanting Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishvam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamayam Dadati Swapanam. Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai. We'll take a quick look at what we have covered. We have so far covered 8 verses in the Nectar of Instruction, and we'll take a quick look at those. And just to start with, we covered it already in historical sessions, so we'll not spend a lot of time here. But just to touch base on where we have come from, how far we have covered, and where we want to go, that paves the way for where we want to go. So it's always good to take a look backwards a little bit. So Prabhupada wanted all sincere devotees to study the Nectar of Instruction. It's a book written by Srila Rupa Goswami, and Prabhupada writes in the preface that this whole ISKCON society is functioning under the guidance and supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. Means as per the instructions of Srila Rupa Goswami, everything is done in ISKCON. And Prabhupada had a lot of gratitude towards Rupa Goswami. Before he went to America, Prabhupada used to stay in the Radha Damodar temple where Rupa Goswami Samadhi is there. And many times Prabhupada used to cry in front of Srila Rupa Goswami Samadhi and begging him for his mercy so that he can try and fulfill the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He can go to West and try and preach to the people over there as per the instructions of his Guru Maharaj. He can translate Bhagavatam and make sure that the parampara explanations are not lost. Rather, they are maintained and they are explained in the same way to the newer generation. So Prabhupada had that responsibility, and he wanted mercy from Srila Rupa Goswami. He wanted blessings from Srila Rupa Goswami, and therefore Prabhupada is to often seen spending night hours crying in front of Srila Rupa Goswami Samadhi, begging him for his mercy. And what to speak of mercy, Prabhupada got entire backing from the entire parampara, Guru Parampara, and Lord Chaitanya himself, as he moved out of Vrindavan, came out of Vrindavan, went to America and established ISKCON, opened temple starting in New York, then San Francisco, and then all over the world. More than 100 temples he established from 1966 till 1977 when he left this material world. He established more than 108 temples, initiated more than 5,000 disciples, impacted millions of lives, which and he continues to do that even today. So, Prabhupada owed this, had a lot of gratitude for Rupa Goswami, and so his book, two books, he is included in the Bhakti Shastra syllabus, and one of both these books are one of this is what we are studying, Upadeshamrut or Nectar of Instruction, and the other one is the Nectar of Devotion. So Prabhupada wanted every sincere devotee who is a little bit sincere, who just understand a little bit of philosophy, want to practice Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada wanted such person to study this book. And so this book, what does this book enables? So Bhagavad Gita explains who Krishna is, who is God. Krishna is God, and attaining God is the goal of life. And bhakti is the process to attain that goal. These are the convictions that come out of studying Bhagavad Gita. However, once you know that, you need to follow the process of bhakti, you need guidance from a bona fide guru, and you need to associate with the guru. You need to actually put into practice the principles of bhakti yoga that are spoken in various places. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is spoken in brief. In Bhagavatam, it is explained with various numerous examples how bhakti yoga was practiced by different devotees in different yugas, and what benefit that they all got. So, so in order to be able to practice it in today's times, we need a bona fide guru. And Sri Rupa Goswami opens this book with the description of a guru who can act as a bona fide guru, who can be a guru. And guru should have attachment to Krishna, and guru should have ability to regulate his senses and mind, body, and senses. Guru should know the way, guru should show the way, and guru should walk the same way. These are the characteristics of guru. Guru will explain you, guru will give you Krishna, because guru has Krishna. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 34th verse, about guru. Second verse, Rupa Goswami then go on elaborating various various activities if we do that can lead to destruction of bhakti. And in the third verse, Rupa Goswami explains activities which can enhance our bhakti. Bhakti is not to be performed alone. Krishna is not alone. He is always with his devotees. So as a devotee, you will always have to deal with Lord and other devotees. You cannot hope to be alone with Krishna. That's not possible. So if you have to deal with devotees who are also like us, like other people, you should figure out a way in which how best you can do that effectively, so that you are still able to continue to practice Krishna consciousness nicely. At the same time, don't offend Vaishnavas, don't offend anyone. So how to deal with people in general? That was explained in the 4th verse, when Rupa Goswami explains that giving gifts, taking gifts, that's liked by everyone. Sharing your heart and listening to other people when they are sharing their heart. This is also two activities that are done generally amongst people. And feeding people with prasad and accepting prasad whenever people offer us. So, bhunte bhojayate chaivam. Shadvidam Priti Lakshanam. These are 6 symptoms of love which can be seen being reciprocated amongst people in general, especially amongst devotees. Rupa Goswami wanted devotees to behave like this whenever they meet with each other, so that the loving sentiment become stronger amongst the devotees, and they are able to help each other become Krishna conscious, move towards Krishna collectively. The 5th verse, Rupa Goswami takes this discussion further, deeper. He's explaining that even though you may see all devotees wearing inside a temple, everybody is a devotee. You can consider everybody to be a devotee inside a temple, and but everybody is not at the same level. We should know who is at which level, and we should deal with them accordingly. So if there are uttama adhikaris, we should be eager to serve them. We should be eager to listen to them. We should be able to follow their instructions. We should be eager to take their association and do what they tell us to do. That's the case of Uttama Adhikari, and Prabhupada explains this in great detail. Madhyama Adhikari, where we can be friend with, we can deal with, we can become friends with Madhyama Adhikari if we happen to be Madhyama Adhikari, and the Kanishta Adhikari is someone who is very new in the movement, and if we happen to be at that level, then we become friends with them, and we become respectful. We should pay obeisances to Madhyama and Uttama Adhikari, and accordingly. So basically, we should know where we stand. We should know where people stand, where other devotees stand, and we should deal with them accordingly. The 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 association, taking association from seniors, becoming friends with equals, giving guidance to the lowers, and ignoring the upeksha to the jealous people, to those who are envious, those who are just want to create problem. We can ignore them. The moving forward, sixth verse, Rupa Goswami explains about the visible defects that can be seen in a pure devotee. How do we understand that? There are defects in their physical body. They might not be very beautiful looking. They might have various various diseases, various that they might end up dealing with. Their actions can be seen faulty. Their pronunciation can be seen faulty. We can find fault in the way they speak, the way they write, the way they walk, or wherever we. But if that, how do we understand why it happens, and how should we deal with them if at all? When we see them in front of us, and what to be avoided, what not to be avoided, how to deal with those correctly. So that is very important aspect of consciousness, and maintaining a right consciousness for our own selves, so that we can continue to practice devotional service properly. So that was dealt with in the sixth verse. The seventh verse, Prabhupada gives example of a sugar candy and a sick condition who is unable to experience the joy of sexual tasting sugar candy, sweetness of sugar candy, because of the disease condition. And what happens? What can be the solution? The same sugar candy is the solution. When the bitter, what tastes bitter today will start tasting nectar tomorrow, and we just need to continue doing what we are doing. The eighth verse of Sri Rupa Goswami concludes the teaching by saying that Sarva Shastra Sara, this is a Sara, this is a summum substance, some essence of all the instructions is remember Krishna 24/7. Train your mind to remember Krishna 24/7 under guidance, and serve under guidance of a devotee. Wherever, if possible, you can situate yourself in a dham, but wherever you are, if you're serving under the guidance of a devotee to Lordship, that's dham, that is your Vrindavan. So that is what all we discussed in our last session. Last session, our focus was on how do we train our mind, and we looked at the acronym MIND, what magnifies the problem, imagine, pleasure and pain, and so on and so forth. So we had one long session last Sunday. We have interesting session coming up today as well. Again, we'll talk about the ninth verse, and then we will look at two concepts broadly. The spiritual world, the concept of spiritual world is what we will discuss today, and concept of later in the while discussing 10th verse, we will discuss the Vikarmi people, the people who are who act by rejecting the scripture is what we will cover in the today's discussion. Interesting topics. All of us, I was there in both these places probably, and so we deal with a lot of these people in our day to day in our day to day life. So we should it will be interesting to know a little bit more about these two concepts. The before that we jump look at the translation of the ninth verse directly. The translation goes like this: the holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathurapuri is the transcendental forests of Vrindavana, because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavana is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Lord Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kunda stands supreme, for all its overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kunda, which is situated at the foot of Govardhana hills? So, right from so Rupa Goswami is giving a spectrum, a hierarchy, who is better than whom, and he starts itself from the Vaikuntha planet, the transcendental world. Now, Vaikuntha is part of spiritual world. It's we have um, we have material world, and above material world is the spiritual world, the spiritual abode. Material world is the one which get annihilated at the destruction, and the topmost planet in the material world is Satyaloka, that's where Brahmaji lives, and even that planet get destroyed when the annihilation will take place. But above Satyaloka is the is the um, that's from there onwards the spiritual world begins, and that spiritual world never gets destroyed. And that one of the top planets in the spiritual world itself is Vaikuntha Loka. And Rupa Goswami is starting its the discussion of this verse is starting only from the Vaikuntha Loka. So he's not even talking anything below Vaikuntha. So Vaikuntha is considered to be the topmost, even amongst the one of the top planets amongst the spiritual planet. Even in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha planet is considered to be one of the top planets. And then he's giving hierarchy from there onwards. So so let's look at the purport. The spiritual world is 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is most exalted region. Prabhupada writes in the purport that it is the 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and which means 1/4 is the material world. So the spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. So there's a comparison that is drawn now. There's a spiritual world which is 3/4 in size, material world 1/4 in size. Superior spiritual world is exalted region, the most exalted region. Material world is not so exalted, filled with problems. Dukkhalayam Shashvatam. That's the label that we will continue to see. But so that's label that is used for the material world. So spiritual world, Prabhupada writes, that is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathura and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared at Mathura. So Prabhupada is writing that in the purport that Mathura Puri, which is in Uttar Pradesh, which is in Bharat and Bharat Varsha, is that place is superior even to Vaikuntha because the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally appeared there. Because of his personal appearance in that place has become more special, even special than the Vaikuntha. The interior, now he doesn't stop there. It's superior than Vaikuntha, but that is not all supreme. It takes the discussion further deeper and to another height. That interior forests of Vrindavana are considered superior even to Mathura. So there is a Vaikuntha, there is Mathura, and now the Vrindavana. So Prabhupada writes that superior to the Vrindavan forests are superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests, Dwadashavana, such as Talavan, Madhuvan, and Bahulavan, which are famous for various pastimes of the Lord. So Mathura, Lord appeared, but didn't spend much time there. He was quickly removed and taken to the Vrindavan by Vasudev. And after Lord returned from Vrindavan, he killed Kamsa, stayed with his parents for some time, but he didn't spend a lot of time there. Jarasandha used to uh, attack and various reasons. He kept moving out of Mathura. So Mathura was he didn't spend a lot of time in Mathura. Even though he appeared there, he quickly moved to other places. And Vrindavan is where he had spent most of his beautiful time. Most of his time he spent in Vrindavan with his cowherd boys, all these places where he used to have krida, play with his cowherd boyfriends, and have other pastime with gopis. So Vrindavan, those 12 forests are considered to be even superior to Mathurapuri. But now that is not all. Even within Vrindavan also, there is something which is very special. Superior to these 12 forests of Vrindavan is the divine Govardhana hill, because Krishna lifted Govardhan hill like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates and denizens of Braja from the torrential rain sent by angry Indra, king of the demigods. So this is again special Govardhan witness special pastime during the Govardhan, the entire offering which was supposed to be offered to Indra. Krishna, at the request of Krishna, everybody offered that to Govardhan. Govardhan ate everything, and then Indra becomes angry. Indra then sends torrential rains to submerge the Gokul and the Vrindavana. But Krishna simply by his left hand, the little finger of his left hand, he lifted the entire Govardhana hill and called all the Brajavasis to come and stand, take shelter of this Govardhan. Everyone was there. This is one special Leela where all the rasas were exchanged with all the Brajavasis. And that went on for 7 days and 7 nights, no break, no halt, no sleeping time, no. It's only non-stop exchange, reciprocation of rasas with everyone, because whole Braj was present with cows. Cows were there, elderly people were there, elderly ladies were there, elderly men were there, children were there, girls were there, boys were there, calves were there, and everyone, and Krishna was there. So everything at the center of everything, Krishna was there, and everyone was reciprocating with Krishna in their own rasas, and that went on for continuously 7 days and 7 nights without interruption. So Govardhan is considered to be even better than the forests of Vrindavan. Now, even within Govardhan, there are some special areas. It is also at Govardhan Hill that Krishna tends the cows with his cowherd friends, and there also he had rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engaging loving pastimes with her. Now, the Radha Kunda, which is at the foot of Govardhan, is superior to all, because it is there that love of Krishna overflows. Now, so starting from the Vaikuntha planet, uh, we there's no inclusion of America. There's no inclusion of the material world at all. Even Satyaloka of Brahmaji is also not considered, not even considered, so not even discussed. So, what to speak of the our material Bhuloka, but everything starts from the threshold itself is Vrinda, is Vaikuntha, and we are building on that. But better than Vaikuntha is Mathura, better than Mathura is Vrindavan forest, and better than Vrindavan forest is Govardhan Hill, and better than Govardhan Hill even is the Radha Kund, which is inside the Govardhan Hill, which is on the foot of Govardhan Hill. And that is because why? Because that Kunda overflows with the love of Krishna. The love for that Lord Krishna has for Radharani and Radharani has for Krishna is being stored in those kundas, and that's the water in that kunda is nothing but liquid form of love of Radha and Krishna, and that's therefore those Radha Kunda becomes the most beloved object, the most cherished object, the best object in this entire creation of Lord Shri Krishna. Glimpse of Golok Vrindavan, and this is the glimpse of material world where we all live in. Purusham Prakriti Sohi Bhunte Prakriti Jaguna Arana Guna Sambhosya Sat Asat Yoni Janmasu. Sat and higher and lower species of life, Janmasu, we will take birth. For why? Because we associate with modes of material nature. Why we associate with modes? Because we have a desire to enjoy matter. Bhunte Prakriti Jaguna. Now, this desire to enjoy is has brought us here, and this is what is happening with us birth after birth, and this has been going on for millions of years. So this is where we were, and this is where we have opted to be at the cost of enjoying independently. This is the cost we are paying to enjoy independently of Krishna. We don't want to enjoy. We want to enjoy Krishna's property without Krishna, and this is what we've got for ourselves, and we seems to be enjoying this aspect. So let's take a step backwards, and so we're speaking about the spiritual world, and we'll spend some time discussing the concept of spiritual world a little bit more in detail, and because the purport was there, and we can discuss the Katha stories in Vrindavan. But let's talk a little bit more about the concept of spiritual world, and the whole idea of why am I here? What is the purpose of life? So we this is what has been happening. We've been taking birth, we grow, and then we reproduce, we dwindle, become old, we die, and again we take birth. And Bhagavad Gita explains how it has been happening very clearly. Just like 15th chapter, Krishna explains how that process of transmigration works. Shotram Chakshusparshanam cha Rasanam Dhranameva cha Adhishthaya Manishchaya Vishayan Pasevate. How a soul picks up the various indriyas on when those are allowed, those get allotted to him according to his desires and according to his ability to pay, ability to have the karmic currency to pay. Accordingly, he gets his different indriyas, different bodies, and how soul picks up, how soul is getting picked up from a body. The Krishna gives a beautiful example that how wind picks up aroma without disturbing a flower. Similarly, soul is being picked up from a body without disturbing the body. The body appears to be the same before its death and after its death, because the soul gets picked up, just like aroma gets picked up by air, the flowing air. And that's how the soul goes from one body to another body. And then so the body takes birth, the soul doesn't take birth. And so this has been going on So soul is said to be on a journey. Soul is said to be on a journey. And what is the destination of that journey? So if there is a journey, this is seems to be a journey. You know, people you seems to be taking some vehicle now, become a horse, then become a deer, then become a cow, then become a human, again become a dog. You seems to be changing vehicles. The soul is a yantra. This is body is a yantra, and yantra rudhani mayaya. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18 chapter 61st verse that this body is like a yantra given to a soul to utilize. And using this yantra, using this vehicle, the soul is continues with its journey. And but the destination of this journey is really not clear. From where can we get that destination? How do I know why am I supposed to do what I'm doing here? And what is the purpose of life? So let's take a deep look at that aspect, that particular question. Dukhalam Ashashvatam is the title of the slide. I mean, what we have seen in the spiritual world and what we are seeing in the material world is complete contrast. The 6 stages we go through during our current life, whenever we are forced to take birth, none of us have been able to control our birth, which family we born in, which type of body we are getting, white body, black body, um, gray body, whatever, uh, and which family, Brahman family, Kshatriya family, Vaishya family, Shudra family, dog eaters family, what kind of family where we will take birth, which religion we will take birth in. We have no control. None of us have chosen our parents. None of us have chosen our facial complexion, the skin color, the hair color, the eyes, the height, the nothing has been, everything has been forced upon us. So we're forced to take a body. We're forced to accept a body. We didn't even knew why we were given human bodies, why we were not given dogs and hogs bodies. So we, what to speak of why in this household, not in the neighboring household. There's no control that none of us could exercise, and nobody exercises. So we are forced to take birth. After giving birth, we grow. Our body grows. We stay as we are, and we reproduce. We dwindle and we die. These 6 stages, every matter goes through, our body goes through when the soul is inside the body. When soul is occupying the body, the soul and the body together will go through these 6 stages. In all of these are extremely painful. The birth is painful. The third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Kapila Muni is explaining to his mother Devahuti what are the problems that one go through. What are the problems of a family man? How a family man should not leave his body, surrounded by his family members. What are the problems in those things? And then how a person take birth, what happens inside a womb, and how painful the whole birth taking process is. Even though the everyone becomes joyful when a child takes birth successfully, or um, child comes out of the womb of his mother, but the child itself knows how much painful the whole process was, the whole period of 9 months was, and the moment it comes out, it forgets that. So the whole process of taking birth is itself is extremely painful. The growth, the stay as we are, reproduce, dwindle, and die, death. In between, the Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. These are the 4 problems we continue to face within the 6 stages of our appearance, of our presence in this body. We take birth, we grow old, we get disease, and then we die. Now these things, all the 4 things actually happens against our wish, against our desire. The threefold miseries of the world, they trouble us. They are called Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivi, and Adhyatmi. Adhyatmic miseries are caused by our own mind and ego. Adhi, their bhautik are caused by people around us, the living entities around us could be mosquito also. And Adi Devi is caused by the demigods. So these things don't really make the stay while on this planet very peaceful. So they may so the in general the stay on this planet inside this particular body is extremely painful and extremely you're continuously doing some adjustment or the other to be uh, to be free from pain, and then you can think of some getting some small happiness, but to remain relatively free from pain itself requires a lot of hard work and a lot of time, effort, energy goes in remaining relatively pain free every minute by minute basis. And we are always adjusting where the temperatures are going up, adjust the AC. Temperatures go down, switch on your geysers, switch on your heaters. So continuously we are doing something or the other to keep avoiding pain. But because pain is permanently available to us over here, we're just in the middle of pain only. At every minute, every moment, we can experience problems in our life, and we keep dodging them, we keep avoiding them with all that what we have. That's another thing, but the presence of problem is just undeniable. Now, even though everything around us is temporary and miserable, we still live life in hope. Every night we sleep, we want tomorrow to be better than today. And we believe that today was better than many worse days I've had. So we have this longing for hope that we want, we want to have better tomorrow. Tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow things will get sorted out. Tomorrow, exactly not tomorrow, but in future will bring me peace of mind. Future will bring me order in my life when everything will be as per my desire and I'll be able to do what I want to do. Tomorrow, in future, everything will become perfect. Life will become perfect. My financial position will become perfect. My relationship will become perfect. My spiritual life will become perfect tomorrow. I'll have a lot of time tomorrow. I'll have a lot of happiness tomorrow. Let me let me work hard today. So this tomorrow is what keeps us going every day. And this across the world, we see that all the major religious states and the major civilizations describe about this higher reality, higher world. That we have major religions like Christianity. We have Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism or Sanatan religion, where this higher world is explained, the spiritual world is explained. There's a place, that eternal place, which is described in some of the scriptures, where reference is at least made to this place, that eternal place, which is free from all worries, full of joy, and which is our real home. Now, that is been referred to, and people generally believed in that, all over the world. It's very common that, and in fact, the current world is considered like a bridge to go there. And so this world and that world, there's a clear distinction that is drawn even in the minds of the people. And this was the position up till recent times. What happened is in recent times, because of the discoveries in science and technology, uh, which has led to a belief that whatever the perfect happy world that people wanted, that can be produced by advancement in the technology. Advancement of technology, we can, if there is excessive heat, we can produce air conditioners and distribute, make the whole city air conditioned so that nobody feels the heat. if there is excessive cold in the region, we can produce heaters and we can supply them with everywhere so that there is nobody feels excessive heat, excessive cold also. So people thought that by scientific and technological advancements, we will be able to convert the current world itself into a eternal, happy living space. That's what people were longing for. That's what that happiness that people long for, that I'll get it tomorrow, I'll get it somewhere else. And that is being referred to in various texts. That could be a mythology. Because people were backward scientifically, they didn't knew how to convert the existing world itself into a superior planet, superior place. And because of their lack of information, lack of technological advancement, development, maybe they were hoping that such world exists somewhere else, not here. But by technological advancement, we will convert the existing world itself into a superior reality. As a result, um, and that belief, this is scientism. This science. Science is saying so, and that has got a lot of traction, and that's a lot of people started believing in their this particular version, and because of which, uh, if you see people around us nowadays don't uh, talk about going back to our real home anymore. Um, Bhagavad Gita and other texts talk very specifically about Tadhama Paramam Mama Golok Vrindavan Vaikuntha. In the Sanatana Dharma, there is a very direct really reference to this place, but direct descriptions are provided of this place, how does it look like, and what all activities which are done in these places, and so on and so forth. But even in the other religions, uh, the references were there, but those also people have stopped talking about because they now feel actually ashamed to even acknowledge that there could be a possibility of another world, and that we are that can become that can become that because we are because we are a failure in our current world, we want to go and enjoy happiness in some other world. That's kind of a it became that kind of a thing, and therefore people stop talking about it. Now, if you happen to know people around you, you will realize that nobody talks about even ending the goal of life is practically to earn money and enjoy senses. Um, earn a lot of money, eat a lot of costly food, drink a lot of costly, expensive wines, visit expensive foreign locations, post all your pictures on your social media platforms, get a lot of followers. If you happen to have a lot of money, you go and speak at different places, explain them how you have made money, how you made it big, the reasons for your success, and that's all. That's great. That itself is life. There is nothing better than that. If you can do this legally, wonderful. If you can't do this legally, nobody cares today. So so overall, the purpose of life itself is got limited to this within these boundaries. So people lost the conception only to that they have to live life in such a way to end the cycle of repeated birth. There is a repeated birth, and we have to end that cycle of repeated birth. And how do we do that? If we stop the cycle of birth, what happens to us? People had no idea about it. So people stop talking about only all these topics. So people will not, bring up only these topics so that they will keep talking about they want to go which country they want to visit next, but they will not want to talk about touch upon a subject of of going of the spiritual world, whether I believe in it or not, whether do I believe in the repetition of birth, whether transmigration, that birth after birth I get another body, do I believe in all those things? So people start talking about all those aspects. Now, the technological advancement who promise the scientific advancements which were promising to convert this itself into Vaikuntha, they failed miserably. because by advancing in technology, yesterday Prabhuji gave a beautiful example of mobile phones. How in last 20 years, mobile phone has destroyed our lives completely and made us intoxicant to those phones. So much damage has been done by these phones that even Britishers couldn't do, or even Islam couldn't do. So much damage it has done to the generations. Um, so this technological advancement have converted the whole whole humanity into whole humanity is today having mental health issues. Earlier it used to be few, and people generally used to be very peaceful, happy, calm, and happy. But in today's world, everyone seems to have mental issues. Some are expressing it, but some are not. But everyone is this technological advancement has made people's life easy and comfortable, but their mind has become miserable. They have so many wild desires, they have so many wild thoughts, so many wild actions people end up committing, so many wild relationships people end up having, that and so many uh, lawlessly people are actually acting. They're the moral values of people have gone completely degraded during because of this technological advancement that people are becoming extremely insecure, extremely painful, uh, they're suffering mentally completely in a miserable condition psychologically, and they the mentally they're comfortably miserable, they're comfortably because they are sitting in the air conditioned room, but they are lonely. They have nobody to share their heart with, they have nobody to trust. No, they cannot trust anyone, they cannot share anyone, they cannot love anyone truly. They are completely miserable in that way. And so the technology really didn't serve the purpose that it promised. George Harrison wrote, "The purpose of life is to find out who I am, why am I here, and where am I going? Who am I?" uh, in our world, nothing is eternal, nothing is permanent. The oceans are changing, the mountains are changing, the forests are changing, rivers are changing, seasons are changing, country boundaries are becoming blurred, people are changing, relationships are changing. Everything in the world is changing. Is nothing is permanent, and in such a ever changing world, all of us have a longing to live and live eternally and live forever. These two longings all of us have. So most of the movies, most of the novels, they end by saying that towards the end of that movie, the happily ever after. That banner comes, and then we know that it's over, time for us to go home. The end means everything. Then from this moment onwards, they lived happily ever after. Now, when the happily and ever after, now all these three things, all this both these things are not found in the world around us. People are not ever after. People are not happy. So, in the world where everything is temporary, everything is miserable, um, where is where this concept of happily ever after comes from? This longing that every soul seems to be having, that they want to, even an animal does not want to die. Animal wants to live as long as possible. So, if possible, given a choice, even an animal will want to live forever. So this longevity to just a minute. Longevity to live forever. Where does it come from? So it doesn't come from anything surrounding us, because in the surrounding nothing is. There's no clue to us that nothing is temporary. Everything is temporary and everything is ever changing. So if we and everything is miserable also. So the longing to live forever and be happy forever comes from somewhere else, comes from the external environment where we actually originally came from. It doesn't come from our current external environment, but it came from our original state. So Bhagavad Gita teaches that inside all the living entities, we are eternal soul. We have three layers living. We have three layers on us. There's a soul which is covered by subtle body, which is covered by gross body. And the soul, the three characteristics of soul are eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Now, if you see, the soul is the only foreign component in the material body, which is made up of five elements which are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So the foreign component in the material world is this spiritual spark, that is the soul. So the souls are the aliens in the world. We often has um, often have a desire that who's coming on our planet from other planets. There is some spaceship which came and some spaceship arrived here, and then some living entities similar to. So we all have that curiosity. We all have that that there are so many movies made on this, that how people came from another planet to this world and they are attacking and we are fighting and so on and so forth. And but in the reality, the spiritual spark, which is us, the original nature, original component of us, is the foreign component in the material world. We are aliens at this material body. We are alien in this entire material world itself, because none of we cannot get mixed with any one of this, anything that is available in the material world. The soul has previous experience of living eternal life in the spiritual world, and hence there is a longing to re-experience the same eternal life again in this world. That is how the soul desire to live happily and ever after, because happiness and ever after are both the characteristics, innate characteristics of the soul. And soul has had a previous experience of both these characteristics in this when it was present in the spiritual world. How do we understand the presence of spiritual world? So the existence of spiritual world does not have empirical evidence. Empirical evidence means what we can verify with our existing senses. By empirical evidence, I can see the screen, the image, this particular slide which I'm presenting. This you all can see on the screen of your mobile or laptop or computer. Now, this is empirical evidence that I'm sharing a slide and it has some text and you are able to see that. You are able to verify it. But such verification is not possible for spiritual world, existence of spiritual world. Why? Because of our current set of senses, we can only perceive and experience matter. So we are spirit soul, but we are given material body. Why? Because of our desire to enjoy another body. Because of our desire to enjoy the matter, we have been given suitable senses. So our senses can only experience matter. It cannot experience spirit. That's why spirit is practically impossible to be seen, because it's a completely different dimension. It's not necessarily that it is by definition, by the size, it is said that the keshangra, for the tip of hair, if that is split into 10,000 parts, such is the small size of the soul. But But barring that, that is the size explained. But barring that, the soul is of different tattva altogether. Which so the spirit is like when I'm using a black and white camera, I cannot take a color picture. It's like a different dimension altogether. So with material senses, I can only experience matter. When I'm using a black and white camera, I can only get black and white colors. I cannot get other colors. So it's a defect. It's a built-in defect that we can say that we possess. So empirical evidence is impossible to have. The soul has spiritual body, spiritual senses. With spiritual senses, the spiritual world can be experienced. And we don't currently have spiritual senses, we have material senses. So our current senses cannot even perceive spirit soul, what to speak of spiritual world. However, all the scriptural references provide plenty of information about the spiritual world. That's a Shabda Praman. And therefore, we know that by referring to that, we know that the spiritual world, there's a world that exists. It is a eternal place. It's a place without any kuntha, and it is our original home. And this is the place where we need to go to by ending the cycle of repeated birth on this material in this material world. So, so this is by inference we can understand that the soul and his longing for eternity comes from our previous stay in the spiritual world. So we looked at various um, points. We'll just do a quick summary. That existence of spiritual world is not empirically verifiable, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, because it is not something that is not empirically verifiable. It doesn't mean that there's not no such thing that exists, because it's not available to us right now in our current status. That's the only thing that we can infer to. So then how do we know about the spiritual world? Then we know about spiritual world from the scriptures, and all scriptures from all major traditions speak about spiritual world. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Brahma Samhita, they give elaborate information about the spiritual world, how exactly it is, and how it is, what activities are there, who lives there, and so on and so forth. So that while studying those scriptures, we can know more about spiritual world, and also we can understand from our inference, or the inference that we can understand that um, if the soul has a longing for eternity, it has experienced eternity in somewhere, and it is no there's no eternity possible in this material world, which means the eternity the soul must have had experience during his stay in the spiritual world. So that is second. By inference, we can understand the spiritual world exists, and third, by 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 subscribing to the various acharyas commentaries on this particular topic, who are who are not just blind followers of any religion, who are extreme scholars in their own sense, and they have concluded, they have given evidences of the existence of the spiritual world and the activities that happens. The six Goswamis of Vrindavan, they have written elaborate commentaries on this, and so through their study, the way in the great scientific way in which the six Goswamis and subsequent acharyas wrote commentaries on various scriptures, studied the scriptures, and they gave this conclusion. So even that is that is another praman available to us to accept the existence, the presence and existence of spiritual world. Because going to spiritual world can one can get a desire to go to spiritual world only when one become convinced about existence of spiritual world, and not otherwise. That's why that stopping the cycle of repeated birth, that conviction will somebody will desire for that only when somebody will get convinced that they are caught up in the cycle of repeated death and repeated birth. Unless that happens, there is no hope for people. Otherwise, people will just live for tomorrow. People will just live for getting better facility for having sex, getting better facility to eat food, getting better facility to drink better quality costly alcohol. Whole their life will go in wasted in these things and only. But just eating, meeting, sleeping, depending of different quality and quantity. So let's look at these worlds and the people who have different conception about these worlds a little bit more detail. So on one axis, this vertical line is spiritual world, and this is material world. And let's try and understand how different people perceive this. So there are gross materialistic worldview. There's a gross materialistic worldview. People who only want to enjoy, don't care much, does not have much of information, doesn't have much knowledge, and doesn't care for anything. Now, those are the gross materialistic worldview. Only material for them, the material world is the only world that they see, that they believe in. They completely deny the existence of spiritual world. Uh, they either call it unreal or mythical or a myth, or but so they want to only see. And if you see, majority of the people actually falls in this particular section, that they have no understanding, no knowledge about spiritual world, no knowledge about they being spirit itself, what to speak of the spiritual world. So they live life practically like animals, without any goal of life, without any so they just, their goal is to get next meal, a better quality, that's great. The next bigger place to stay, the next bigger hotel to visit, the next better alcohol to drink, the next better country to visit, so on and so forth. So they just live like animals, simply eating, mating, sleeping, defending, different quality and different quantity, but nothing more than that. They have zero knowledge, zero information, zero inclination to understand that about their own nature, that they are themselves spiritual and they are caught up in the material world. They have no knowledge about all that. So they, lot of population in the material world today actually falls in this particular section. Second section is Nahism. Now they treat both material world and spiritual world as unreal. So because the material world is temporary, so that is unreal. Spiritual world, they have no information, that is unreal. So these are very cynical people. They are very negative people. They think they are burden on earth. They think the human race itself is burden on the earth, and at times they have no reason to live. And they are extreme negativity within themselves, and they spread negativity. They can't see people feeling happy, so they can inject negativity into other people. So we have to be extremely careful and watchful of these people if we find in life. So most of people will have no knowledge about spiritual world. That is okay, but they will at least have knowledge about. They will consider this world to be real, so they will consider the property that they are going to acquire in this world is real. That it's going to stay with them forever, as if that with that passion they will be working towards getting that property, towards earning that next big deal, getting that dollars, earning money, earning comforts of life. So they'll be considering this world to be real. All their activities are directed towards about this particular world itself. They have no other desire for any other world. Nihilism is very bad and very negative worldview they will have. The third is called Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. So this is also can be uh, position taken by many Mayavadis. that Brahma Satya means spiritual world is real, but Jagat Mithya. Jagat Mithya is material world is unreal. Now they only now they can only now this is also this is also not a recommended position because Jagat Mithya, Jagat is not Mithya. Jagat is temporary, but it's not false. Even material world where when we act in particular way, we are forced to take reactions of our actions. So this Jagat is also not Mithya. Material world is true world. It is there. It is real world, but it is temporary world. It is not permanent. If we act in this world thinking this to be our eternal world, permanent world, then we are mistaken. But Mayavadis or Mayavadis also do a mistake by assuming this world to be unreal world. The material world is also real world, and hence Mayavadis they practically stop acting, and that does not help them become better devotees. So the balance view, the best possible balance available view is that the devotional view, the bhakti view, that Mam Anusmara, that is spoken by Krishna in the 8th chapter, 7th verse, Mam Anusmara Yudhya cha. Tasmat Sarveshu Kalishu Mam Anusmara Yudhya cha. Mam Anusmara, remembering me, gives us our connection with Krishna. And Yudhacha gives us our prescribed duty in this material world. As long as we are present in this material world, um, we will have to perform our prescribed duties according to our Varna and Ashram. So there's no escape out of that. Arjuna was also not given the excuse of giving to forest and do nothing. Krishna said, no, no, you must fight. We must render services. We must do our duties as we are rendering services to Krishna in our service attitude to Krishna. So the remembrance gives us Krishna connection, and Yudhya, that is gives us the duty in the material world as per our Varnashram. So we don't reject the world. We don't reject this world. We don't say that this world is mithya. Reject it. Naiti, naiti, naiti. Don't reject, 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 reject. No, that's not very positive approach to spirituality. We accept everything. We don't reject everything, and we don't romanticize everything as well. The karmi is the first box. If you see this is the first box. Now this is where people will think their home to be the real home in this material world, and then they will spend their lifetime building that home as if thinking that they are going to live there permanently. But this is temporary. We should take this world also too seriously. So we don't have to romanticize with this world also. So we don't have to demonize, we don't have to reject this world, but we also don't have to romanticize with this world. We have to utilize this world. So the rejection and romance are two extremes. The rejection saying that the world is to be rejected, and romanticizing means to consider this world to be the final destination that we have come, and live try and live as if we are going to be here forever. Um, Even that romanticizing in this world also doesn't help, and rejection also doesn't help. What help is a balanced approach where we utilize the world, utilize for the purpose of living happily and attaining liberation, attaining Krishna. So if we do that, that is successful utilization of the world. So we have not rejected it, we are not romanticizing with it, but we are utilizing it. So that way we move forward on our path of devotional service. We'll look at 10th verse translation, and we'll look at some aspects of this particular um, verse as well, as much as we can, we will look at it. In the Shastra, it is said that all types of creative workers. So what we've done is basically we've concluded the discussion on the ninth verse, which talks about various places of pastimes, starting from Vaikuntha to Mathura to Vrindavan to Govardhan and to Radhakund. We'll talk about Radhakund and Radharani in our next class. So please, we'll save all that discussion for that particular session. And why Radhakund is so special, why Radharani is so special, we'll dedicate one entire session for that. But let's conclude the subsequent part of the discussion of the verse 10. That translation of verse 10 was that in the Shastra, it is said that of all types of creative workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, Gyanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge may take to devotional service. He is superior to other. So, however, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. Amongst those who have attained prema of the love of Krishna, the gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna in the transcendental countful poet. Amongst the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna, and her Kunda lake is profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radhakund in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feeling of aprakrata bhava, render loving service to the divine couple Sri Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakaliya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radhakunda are the most fortunate people in the universe. Now, so this particular verse talks uh, about the people. The previous verse spoke about the places that starting from Vaikuntha and concluding at Radhakunda. And and this particular verse speak about the people, the seekers, and Srila Rupa Goswami starts from the karmi, the fruitive worker. Shastra, all type of fruitive workers who are advanced in knowledge are are favored by the Lord's Hari. So the karma kandi, basically, so anybody who is engaged in the karma kanda, he is favored by Lord Hari. At least for asking for material enjoyment, he is at least coming to Lord Hari rather than doing it on their own or trying to become happy on their own accord. They are at least taking shelter of Lord Hari. For that, at least they are coming to Lord Hari. So that is the starting point of this particular verse, and then it goes on to it is building on that karmi is better. Karmi is also, if he's coming to Lord Hari asking for benedictions, he is favored by Lord Hari. But better than karmi is jnani, and better than jnani is devotee. uh, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.19 that Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate. That Mam Prapadyate happens. When that happens, when he becomes a Gyani, becomes a devotee. A Gyani realizes that Yomam Evam Asamudho Janati Purushottamam Sa Sarva Vida Bhajati Mam Sarva Bhavina Mam. That if once one knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sa Sarva Vida Bhajati Mam Sarva Bhavina. Then they start worshipping Krishna with all their heart, all their emotions. So 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 this Vasudeva Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. So this knowledge, with knowledge, one should be able to come to this conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then what one has to do? One has to surrender to Sri Krishna. And surrender to Sri Krishna, then one becomes devotee. A Jnani cannot attain prema. Jnani cannot progress much in bhakti by just getting dry knowledge. One cannot progress on the path of bhakti. So one can become bhakti one can progress on the path of bhakti only by becoming a devotee. And becoming a devotee, you have to surrender to Krishna. Jnanavan mam tapratyate. They surrender to him. And when after Bahunam Janmanam Ante, because after cultivating knowledge for Bahuna Janma, many births, it's not easy that in one reading you will conclude that I have to go and surrender to Lord Krishna. No, Brahmaji also required 3 readings of Srimad Bhagavatam to understand that Bhakti Yoga is the supreme yoga. And but he had other conclusions on there. And so it's unless one gets mercy from a pure devotee or mercy directly from Lord, one will take long time to come to conclusion on her own that I have to surrender to Lord Krishna, to become devotee of Lord Krishna. And such soul is, Krishna says, very rare. Anybody who do it on his own is very rare. It's practically impossible in today's time. So we become devotee not by our own effort. We came to devotion not by our own effort. Had it been our effort, it's going to make millions of more birth. Bahunam Janmanamante. If we are doing some seva, it is because of the mercy shown by some devotees upon us. And hence we should be always, express our gratitude towards devotees. Because of them, because of their mercy, Lord has shown us a favor and given us something, some chance to practice devotional service in the current life. So we should always be thankful and express our gratitude towards devotees and spiritual master. So out of and so out of many such souls, uh, so out of many such jnani, one can become liberated with knowledge and take to the devotion service. He is superior to others. And out of many such people, so becoming a devotee is itself so rare. And out of amongst all those who get to this conclusion and start practicing devotional service, many of them are not able to continue. Many of them are, it's not that everyone who start actually end up finishing immediately, but a lot of them actually have a lot of up and down. They are not able to continue for a long time. Some continue, some don't. Is and we ourselves see that all the time that people join our programs. So this our class itself used to have a head count of more than 100 earlier, and now it's barely touches the 50 or 40 mark. By the time 12:30 or 1, it will become 30. So so people will not stay. People will. It's difficult to practice devotional service. So now, so all those who may start with a lot of enthusiasm may not actually last for entire time. But Krishna says, Rupa Goswami says here that amongst all those devotees, those who have actually attained prema, pure level of anyone who has attained prema, the pure level of Krishna is superior to them amongst all the devotees. And out of them, the gopis are exalted. And amongst gopis, the Radharani is the topmost. And her kunda is again described, Radha Kunda is described. We'll talk about that in the next session. And what is the objective of going to Radha Kunda? To render devotional service at Radha Kunda. Serve the divine couple and Shri Radha Govinda, and who perform their Ashtakaliya Leela at the Radha Kunda. So the desire is to, so the spiritual desire is basically the desire to serve. And the spiritual joy is what joy one gets by rendering such service. Spiritual desires should all be to serve the devotees and Lord. And spiritual joy is all what we get by rendering such service. So this is something which will be very clear in our mind. Because this is opposite to the nature of our conception of enjoyment in the material world. Enjoyment in the material world means I enjoy, others suffer, others serve me, and I enjoy. Um, it's the opposite. My enjoyment comes by rendering service to others. That's the concept of enjoyment. So unless this mental adjustment happens, we start enjoying service. There is no chance of us going back to the spiritual world, because this is where that place in the spiritual world we will be relishing serving. We will be serving everyone. We will be serving devotees. We will be serving. Uh, um, we will be serving devotees who are serving Krishna. And there, if we are not enjoying service, if we are not relishing service, then we will be caught up here, because that's the idea of enjoyment in the spiritual world. As we'll talk about, look at the purport a little bit. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 9.21, Kshine Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti. After exhausting the results of the so-called pious activities, people return to the earth, which is called Martya Loka, the place of death. This is the position of all karmis, including those who act piously and those who don't act piously. On this plane, on this planet, we find many businessmen, politicians, and others who are simply interested in material happiness. They attempt to earn money by all means, not considering whether such mean is pious or impious. Such people are called karmis or gross materialists. Among the karmis are some vikarmis, people who act without guidance of Vedic knowledge. Those who act on the basis of Vedic knowledge perform sacrifice for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and to receive benedictions from him. In this way, they are elevated to the higher planetary system. Such karmis are superior to vikarmis, for they are faithful to the directions of the Vedas and are certainly dear to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita 4.11, Krishna says, Ye yatha ma prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajamyaham. In whatever way one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. This is the purport. We'll look at this much of the purport, section on the purport. The rest of the purport we'll study in the subsequent Sunday, next Sunday. So the six type of people, they're upside down actually. Radharani is Srimati Radharani is the topmost. Next to her are the gopis. Next are the devotees who have attained pure love of Krishna. Worse than that are Gyanis. That the Gyanis are better than Karmis. At least they have knowledge, and Karmis are better than Vikarmis. Vikarmis are acting in impious way. Karmis at least follow the scriptural guidance. Now, Vikarmis, we'll focus today. Little bit more about Vikarmis today. So Vikarmis act without Vedic knowledge. They are not appreciated. They take birth as animals, trees, and plants. Prabhupada writes in the purport that they're not appreciated. They can take birth as animals. Vikarmis are the ones who act without Vedic knowledge. They reject the teachings of the Shastras. So this is going to be our focus of the discussion for the rest of the session. That why people reject Shastra. What is the authority of Shastra? And now, in the Sanskrit text, the Vikarmis are not included. The Rupa Goswami wanted to speak about rarity of bhakti, how rare attaining bhakti is, how devotional service is. if we are exposed to devotional service, how rare it is, how fortunate we are, and how much value we should give to this devotional service, how much valuable we should consider it, and how much dear it should be to us, the morning japa, the reading of Bhagavatam, serving devotees, how much dear it should be to our heart. Because it is so rare, that's why it should be extremely dear to us. So, this is what Rupa Goswami wanted to focus on. Therefore, he's starting from karmis, but Prabhupada takes it one level below, because most people in today's world are vikarmis. They're not even coming at a karmic level, karmic levels also. So, for including Prabhupada included them in the discussion, so that this purport become whole inclusive. So even if it is not there in the Sanskrit, Prabhupada has included it into this in this particular purpose. So, uh, as I said, the objective is to include the not to rule out the large population that we have today, who are unfortunately vikarmis. Scripture act like a mother. Scriptures, they act like a mother. The reason people reject scriptures, a lot of people, we go on book distribution, we say that we'll buy Bhagavad Gita, we've kept it, we want to read it when we become old. And one of the reasons why people resist reading Bhagavad Gita now is that the Bhagavad Gita contains some restriction. There will be some restrictions, some do's and don'ts that will come out of scripture. That's what scripture is supposed to do. So people are aware of that fact, and people consider those restrictions to be those restrictions as the problem. Those restrictions, the intention is like a mother, embracing a child. Child may think she's restricting his movement. He want to go here, go there, play, do this, do that, and because of the tight embrace by mother, he's not able to do that. But mother is not restricting the child. Mother is protecting the child. The intention of mother is to protect the child. But if that understanding is not there, then the child will consider that to be the restriction on his freedom, and he will feel unhappy about. And that's why most people don't want to open scriptures like Bhagavad Gita until they become 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old, when they will not have capacity to do anything. And then, even if there will be so many restrictions already in place, that scriptural restrictions will appear, we will not mind, they will not mind accepting scriptural restrictions at that time. That is some of their ideas. That's why they want to postpone study of Bhagavad Gita to the old age. Because scriptures will restrict my freedom, and I don't want any restrictions on my freedom today. So just like how mother tell a child what to do, what not to do for a child's own protection, scriptures will also tell us what to do, what not to do, how to act, how not to act, and what is right and what is wrong is what is decided basis the scriptures, not basis my own mind. So when these are not, and one has to understand that these are not restrictions, but these are meant for our protection. When we go out of these boundaries given by the scriptures, we break the rules made by God, then we bring upon suffering on ourselves. We create suffering for ourselves. We bring upon suffering on ourselves. If we tell a child, for example, if there is a 10-story building, and we tell a small child, not to lean too much off the terrace because he can fall down and suffer injuries. Now, uh, this happens because of law of gravity. The child, even if child believe in the law or child doesn't believe in the law, if child leans too much and loses his balance, he falls down, he falls, then he's going to the fall down the building, and then will. So the breaking of law, the child may not believe in the law of gravity, but and may want to break that law of gravity. But not breaking the law of gravity, child will break himself. Child, this is not a very intelligent way of breaking the law of gravity. We can't be successful in that. Because the law of gravity will not will end up breaking us. We cannot break gravity. Gravity will break us because we will simply fall down if we fall from the building. So similarly, there are God's laws, Krishna's laws, and which we, even if we don't like, even if we don't believe, uh, if we break those laws, we will break ourselves, we will suffer. We recognize in science how nature, how is this whole nature is governed by various laws, and matter follows strict laws. The entire um, the cosmic manifestation is nothing but material world, and they follow order. They follow meticulous. The sun rises at a specific time. We can predict it. Sunset, that's climate change, the rainfall, everything is so much predictable, and everything the nature follow order, nature follow laws. Uh, Even if you know, so this higher principle basically, so so even when sometimes uh, we are unable to define law, um, generally we believe that there is a higher law. We don't say that there is no law. Example can be taken from the Newton's case, where we saw a fruit falling down. Many people before him also would have seen the fruit falling down. They would have picked up the fruit, ate, and went on with their business. They never thought why a fruit fall down. They didn't say that fruit randomly falls down, but they thought that maybe there is a higher principle involved which we don't know today. And that is how they kept pursuing, and they kept discovering different material laws, different laws which affects the matter. And similarly, um, the the laws which governs the consciousness, the laws which governs the people are also very complex laws. So this law governing matter are so complex. The law governing consciousness are even more complex. So it has taken us centuries of research to discover some of these laws. The and some of these laws we are still in the process of verifying and discovering. So it's not easy to even discover all the laws governing matter. So what to speak of laws governing consciousness? They are extremely difficult to figure out and difficult to follow. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.17 that Gahana Karmanamati, that which action of me led to this particular reaction, finding out this aspect is practically impossible. It is intricacies of karma are very difficult to understand. The objective of the whole law of karma is not to understand, go backwards and do a fact analysis of what I did wrong because of which I got this suffering today. But the very fact that I'm getting this suffering today is the indication of what wrong I did yesterday. And hence it should become it should give me impetus to do right today and tomorrow. It's not for looking backwards, it's for acting forward, moving forward. It is to be used for moving forward in the right way by doing the right action. So, uh, so this is uh, so because the laws pertaining to people are not as easily verifiable as law of gravity. where the whole place, the whole world today considers um, the morality become a relative subject today. Morality is relative because what is good, what I think right is right, and what I think wrong is wrong. But I'm not supposed to tell you the same. I'm not supposed to impose the same, my idea of right on anybody else and my idea of wrong on anybody else. This has become common in the discussion today. Uh, the right and wrong is decided based on I. So for me, if drinking alcohol is right, so it is right. For you, if it is wrong, that's your problem. So there is no central governance. There's no common reference point that remains in the conversations, using which somebody can say what you're doing is not right. Because then, if you think it is not right, you don't do it. But you can't tell me this. Everything became relative. Everything has become relative. The law of gravity doesn't is not relative. Um, if you jump from a terrace of a 10-story building, you will fall down no matter which religion you belong to, no matter whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, whether you believe in science or you don't believe in science, whether you believe in anything or you don't believe in anything. So you, whether you are a young person, you are an old person, or you are a small child, no matter what, the law of gravity acts in an absolute way. And there is the person will fall down and he will break his bones. So no such verification is not possible for law of karma, and therefore people tweak understanding of this law of karma to be to their advantage, saying that I will do what I want to do, and you don't have to tell me what I'm supposed to do. And then where the common guidance will then come from. So the Vikarmis basically who reject the scripture, um, even they suffer, but their suffering is not immediately visible, and because it is not immediately visible, um, they will but the suffering is guaranteed, but the suffering is not immediately visible. But that's the reason why they keep saying that there is no law that should tell them what to do, what not to do, what is right for them, what is not right for them. And therefore, to order to remain out of the domain of this, they always try to avoid reading scriptures. So this is what we discussed. That so the question becomes that how can we learn about the law of morality? What is right? What is wrong? Can there be a common reference? Now, one way governments manage this is by enacting some law that if you do this, I will punish. But the law is insufficient because law will say that if you murder a person, um, will send you jail, will punish you. But Krishna says even that person murdering a cow is an offense. Murdering a chicken, a goat for the purpose of eating, that is offense. So any kind of murder is offense. So why only punish his murder? So the law is incomplete, and that takes care of that guides our behavior in a particular way, but doesn't provide a wholesome solution. That wholesome solutions come from learning scriptures. Bhagavad Gita will tell us the way in which we should act and what is beneficial to us, what is harmful to us. Now this is what is spoken in the Bhagavad Gita. And when we follow these rules, these instructions by Krishna, we can live life in a peaceful way. We can live a peaceful, happy life. At the same time, we can pursue the purpose of our life, that is to attain Krishna. The two beautiful verses. The 16th chapter is the demoniac and divine and demonic nature in Bhagavad Gita. That only 3 verses the divine nature is explained, and rest all the chapter is devoted to the demonic nature. People are from demonic nature. So these two beautiful verses, Krishna says that Yah Shastra Vidhim Utsrujya Vartate Kamakaratah Nasa Siddhim Vapnoti Nasukham Na Paramgatim. Now these people who act according to the who discard the scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims. Vartate Kamakaratah. How they act, these people, Shastra Vidhim Utsrujya. They're rejecting the Shastric injunctions, Vedic scriptural injunctions. By if somebody is acting by rejecting the scriptural injunctions, and what option then they have to act while acting the Vartate Kamakarata. They will act according to their own whims and fancies. Now, what happens to such people? Such people nasa siddhim avapnoti. There is no, they attain neither perfection, siddhim avapnoti, nor na sukham, nor happiness, nor supreme destination, nor paramgatim. So it's a lose-lose situation for those who act by rejecting the scriptures. If you see people, everyone, all of us, I was at least part of the same group who, because we were not told about the scriptures at the very beginning of our life. The scriptural injunctions were not taught to us right at the beginning of our life, and unless and up till some of the previous generations, at least scriptures were read in homes. There were today also we distribute Bhagavad Gita. People say we have Bhagavad Gita at our home. Our granny has read it, or mother has probably seen it, and I'm going to see it when I will become 60-year-old, 50-year-old. But until then, let me enjoy. Let me do a lot of things I have to do. So a lot of people around us, we see that they're acting on their own accord. They're acting as per their whims. That's why it becomes relative. And if I reject instructions in Bhagavad Gita, then I will act according to my own ego. 18 chapter 58 verse also says the similar point, makes a similar point that Machitta sarva nirmani mat prasadam tarishyati atha chetva ahankaram na shrosyasi vinakshasi. That you will cross over all the durga, all the hurdles by my grace if you will pay attention to my instructions, if you act according to my instructions. But if you, on the contrary, if you act according to your own ego, desires of your ego, vinakshasi, no shrosyasi, vinakshasi. So if you don't hear to my instructions, don't act on my instructions, then vinakshasi, you will get destroyed. All your efforts will get destroyed. And the similar point is made here. Nasa siddhim avapnoti, na sukham, na paramgatim. It's completely doom project, completely lose-lose condition for the living entity. And if you see, most people who, if you open the contact list and figure out, to look at the list of people who are there, most of them are ignoring the scriptural injunctions as they live their life, because they know there could be some restrictions that are there, and they don't want restrictions. Now, what are they doing? They are, by ignoring the scriptural injunctions, some of them might not be even aware that scriptures exist. Scripture exists, and I'm supposed to follow the scriptures. Bhagavad Gita exists probably in India. Most of people will know, but Bhagavad Gita I'm supposed to follow. I'm supposed to live my life according to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. That people may not have any faith in, and hence while they accept engineering topics, commerce topic, they study art, they study 100 other topics, but they fail to study Bhagavad Gita, and hence they don't know how to act. They have not, but they have acted for so many years, and they will continue to act for so many other years they until they hit Bhagavad Gita somewhere, or they meet devotees somewhere who will then ask them to start living their life according to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. But until that time, these people are creating a suffering for themselves by acting according on the contrary to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, by acting according to the contrary the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. And they neither get any perfection, any sukha, or nor attain any supreme destination. Tasmat Shastra Prama Tasmat Shastra Pramanante Karya Vyavasthito Gyatva Shastra Vidhanattam Karma Kartum Arharsi. One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. So again, we talk about this particular verse. Yeah. So we'll just summarize what we have discussed today. We have discussed 9th verse and part of 10th verse. 9th verse start basically these 9, 10, and 11 verses. The last 3 verses are glorification of devotees and devotion, and in the places of devotion. So it's generally a Falashruti of the instructions of the study of this book. This is what you should aspire to become. This is what you should hope to get after studying this book, after practicing Krishna consciousness throughout the life. One should hope to attain at least Vaikuntha. But listen, better than Vaikuntha is Mathura, better than Mathura is Vrindavana, better than Vrindavana is Govardhan. Govardhan, and amongst Govardhan, the Radha Kund is the best. So we have been given the best of Golok Vrindavan even in this planet. That is Bharatvarsha, that is Vrindavan. That's why people from all over the world, they come to Vrindavan in the month of Kartik to pray, reside at Radhakund, pray for their devotional service at Radhakund, study in the studies Bhagavad Gita, study Chaitanya Charitamrita, study scriptures at Radhakund. So that they will get the best out of their current human form of life. And so this is the hierarchy of places of worship, places in the material world. Similarly, there is a hierarchy of karmis, of devotees, the seekers, and Srila Rupa Goswami starts from the stage of a karmi. The karmi is the one who goes to Krishna asking for material pleasure. And Prabhupada includes Vikarmi in the discussion, that Vikarmi is the one who doesn't reject scriptures and act according to his own whims and fancies. And he is unaware of scriptural injunctions. He is unaware of scriptural position, scriptural instructions. And what happens if we don't act according to those laws? What's going to happen? He's completely unaware of such possibilities, and therefore he is blind. He is blind and he's acting blindly. Therefore, all his actions don't result into any good. In fact, they lead to a lot of suffering. So we saw how the spiritual world and is as a concept is can also be understood even with our limited senses. So and and how the Vikarmis fail to and recognize the authority of scriptures while they're acting. And the balance of this verse we will cover in the on the next Sunday. We'll dedicate that to discuss Vrindavan pastimes and Radharani. Know more about Radharani, and we'll conclude this particular book in the next session. So we'll just see if we have any questions for based on today's discussion. What is the question? As Hare Krishna. Yeah, just there's a question in the chat box. Let's take a look. Yeah, so the question is, the we also don't have a do we does that the freedom basically. Nobody likes to listen to instructions given by others. Is that also a propensity that has come to us from the spiritual world? So, Sarina, is that the right question? I don't know if Prabhuji is there. So Prabhuji is saying that nobody wants to be controlled, and we don't want to follow any rules of Holy Scriptures. Then why is and why it is already built in within us that as a small child also don't want to hear anybody and do whatever he feels like. So this freedom to act, and nowadays practically everyone is doing that same thing, and the time is not satisfying. Yeah. So basically the desire to act freely, is that also a desire basically to where does that propensity come from? It is because scriptures, because of the scriptural restrictions, we don't generally people trying to avoid reading to the scriptures, and which they consider as a restriction is actually protection, because if they act according to their own whims, they will never be able to focus on Krishna. They will never be able to fulfill the purpose of life of going back to Krishna, and then they will get stuck in this material world forever. And that is not what Krishna wants. Therefore, Krishna has given the instructions. So Krishna has given the knowledge as well, how to escape from this world and come to his world. And a child may not know that, child may not want that, and therefore, child will try to avoid it. And similarly, those people who are unable to give up their desires for sense enjoyment, sense gratification, they will have no desire to return to Krishna. And until that desire comes, they will continue to get stuck in the material world. But this is not the propensity that is coming to them from the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there is everyone is glorifying Krishna, everyone is serving Krishna, and Krishna is reciprocating with each and every person. So that's a different, completely, it's a different um, domain of activity. And everyone feels very happy doing that service, and Krishna feels very happy serving devotees, and devotees feel very happy serving Krishna. So this desire to become enjoyers on our own is a special feature of the material world. That's why we are in the material world. Okay, Vikas, you were saying something? You have a question?
No, Prabhuji, just to thank you for this wonderful session, wherein actually the evolution was the right subject, and you covered it so beautifully, means how to evolve in our devotional life. And I was actually finding it that actually it is the association of devotees which can give us the evolution and right perspective to evolve in our spirituality, and that you are wonderfully doing on weekly basis to engrave our at least mind, dull-headed mind, with some or other aspects of the spirituality, which is going deeper and deeper with every Sunday passing. So hankering for Sunday, and uh, and hoping that after the next Sunday, some another nectarian book will be started, and we will be getting your mercy through hearing you with your very easy, means making that complex topic very easier. Otherwise, it is very difficult to understand the mind or the concept of Srila Rupa Goswami that is given in Nectar of Instructions. So thank you very much that you are taking pains to make us understand. At least even a tinge of that is understood by the dull-headed person like me. It will be of great benefit for my spiritual life to progress, and ultimately, all glories to you and all glories to Acharyas and Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam for your very beautiful endeavors on continued basis. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your kind word.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Sandeep.
Prabhuji, in one of the slides you explained that real and unreal, and which can you once again explain Brahma Satya, the third box?
Yes, Sandeep. Yes. Go to that slide. So yeah, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya means basically only the spiritual world is real and material world is false. This is the concept that some of the Mayavadis follow. And because they consider the material world to be false, they reject the material world. So they fail to act in the material world, they fail to perform their duties, prescribed duties in the material world. And that is what Krishna doesn't approve. If you see remember the Bhagavad Gita, the third chapter beginning, uh, Arjuna wants to go to forest. He says, I want this material. What is the use? Let me go to forest. Let me. And fifth chapter beginning again, he wants to go to forest. See, but Krishna reject that kind of approach. He said, you can't reject your duties. Do those duties in the mood of service. And that way, the duties will also be done. The service, my connection will also be there. And that's therefore this is not a recommended position that and in the reality the material world is not false completely. But material world is temporary, but it is not false. So whatever actions we perform here, we are responsible for our actions. We face reactions for those actions. So material world is very much real, but it is temporary. One should not consider material world to be our final destination and try to live life accordingly. That way it is wrong. You had any specific question, Mataji?
No, because I just got confused that if spiritual world is real and material world is false, then what is wrong in that? So does this mean that we have to do our duty, but with keeping in mind that we have to be Krishna conscious?
Correct, correct. So that's why we quoted the verse from Bhagavad Gita 8.7 verse, where Krishna says that Tasmat Sarveshu Kalushu Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. So this Mam Anusmara is our connection with Krishna, and Yudhacha is our performance of prescribed duties, and both need to go hand in hand. We don't have to reject anything. So we don't have to reject the world. Like these people, if I consider this whole world to be unreal or false, then I'll reject it. Which means I'll reject my relationship, I'll reject my family, I'll reject my job, I'll reject. Then I'll be left to do with nothing. But that is not is expected by Krishna. In my when he says that the performance of yajna karma yajna sacrifice, austerity, and charity. These three activities should never be given. So they even purify the pure soul also. So this speaks in 18th chapter. So the activities just cannot be given up. Even if sannyasi, you become a sannyasi, you still have a lot of prescribed duties as a sannyasi. You will have to preach. You will have to perform devotional service 24/7. So, so rejection of work is not accepted by Krishna anywhere in the Bhagavad Gita. And by doing this, but if we consider this material world also to be unreal, then we'll have no motivation left to work, no motivation left to do things because everything is unreal. It's like we don't when we see a dream, we we don't really focus too much on the details of our dream. We don't consider that dream home to be our real home because it's a temporary home. We don't invest too much of our time and focus on our energies on that seeing that home. But we do that in our real home because the real home is actually our real home where we are staying. So in so our real home is our temporary home, even though it could be ownership basis, but it's our temporary home. But nevertheless, it's a real home. But if I consider my real home also to be my temporary home, that like the one which I saw in dream, then then acting properly will become very difficult for me in the world. Therefore, um, Krishna does not recommend that type of functioning as well. So the devotees they come in the fourth box where they consider both worlds to be real. The material world is also real and spiritual world is also real, and we have to utilize material world to go towards spiritual world. So they use a material world as a transition, as a bridge to go to the spiritual world and not get stuck in the material world itself, and also not reject material world completely as well. So we say that don't reject, don't romanticize, utilize. That's how devotees will leverage the material world to go to the spiritual world ultimately.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vaishnavi, you had a question?
Yes, Prabhuji. My question was like the mind is already bad or enemy, like when we came to material world. So since then, its nature is bad or what it is?
So so the question is nature of material world is bad right from the beginning,
No,
or
mind. The
sorry,
nature of
mind,
mind. The
nature of
nature
mind.
of mind. Yes.
Mind is whether mind is bad from the beginning or not.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So, so mind is polluted because the mind that what we have got is material mind, and this is what the soul has been allotted. This mind has been allotted to us when we fell down from the spiritual world and we took birth for the first time, whenever that might have happened. That time our current mind was allotted to us, and this will be taken back from us when we will leave this material world and go to the spiritual world. Until that time, this mind is going to be with us. So, is this mind polluted right from day one? Um, it's kind of meant for that purpose. it's a tool. It's a clean at the beginning, and it's like a knife at the beginning. You cut fruits and offer it to Krishna, or you use it to murder people. Um, it's depends on the use of the mind. The mind neither is the knife is neither good or bad. The good and bad, it becomes good and bad when depending on how it is being used. So if we use it for cutting fruits and offering it to Krishna, it becomes good. The knife also becomes good. But in the other case, it can become bad. So our mind is also like that. It's a tool given to us by Krishna. Now we need mind to function in the world. The soul is a sense, a necessity for soul to interact with the world. The soul interact with this world through mind, and without mind, the soul would have had no facility to interact, and hence to an extent, this mind is like a tool. But mind also can be has been we are using mind also um, as a parallel entity who is producing desires, who is making us act wildly, and doing things which we don't regret later. Um, and mind is also place where a lot of input come from, all the sensory input is received, and it is processed. And mind is also where all my desires are stored, all my temptations are stored, all my weaknesses are stored, all my strengths are stored. So it's a very complex muscle. But was it pure when we were given? Yes. Has it become polluted now? Even that is yes. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Any other anything else you wanted to know about this particular? Is this the only question? Well, mine is yes. Mine was maybe originally it was clean, as the knife was clean. I started, maybe initially I was cutting fruits, but slowly I started murdering people. Now it has got everything in it. I can't distinguish what is what. Now the so any other follow-up question you have on this particular topic of mind? Or you
Yes,
want
Prabhuji, I do have, but I will ask you that on WhatsApp or text.
okay, fine. See if there are any other questions in the chat box, or else we can conclude today's session. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I think there are no other questions in the chat box. So let's conclude. So we're holding back the best probably for the last class, the discussion on Radharani, discussion on Vrindavan, and with that we'll conclude this particular book on next Sunday, hopefully Krishna willing. And then we'll onwards, next Sunday onwards, we can start with another book called Ishopanishad. We'll see how far that goes. That book has about 18 verses. And beautiful book. Again, one of my personal favorite book. And so again, let's see how does that discussion goes. But hopefully it will be useful for all of us. So we all can learn out of it. So till then, wish you all a very happy Krishna conscious week ahead, and we'll meet next Sunday and conclude the discussion on the traffic session. Shri Jagannath, Shri Baldev, Shri Bhajan, Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada, Ki Jai, Bhavan Prema, Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam.